Fortune and Strife features subjects which can be uncomfortable for a general audience, such as the use of drugs and alcohol, poor treatment of people of different classes or cultures, adult situations, psychological trauma, deprivation, survival, natural disasters, and violence. Listener discretion advised. In addition, these next few episodes of the show contain cultural and historical content based upon the peoples of Asia and the Far East. We are coming at this from a place of respect and genuine interest and a love of these cultures, places, and history. We may not get it 100% right all the time, and we ask you to bear with us and give us the benefit of the doubt, and we would let us know when we get it wrong. We want to be an ally in dispelling Orientalism that has affected the Asian and Middle Eastern communities around the world. Welcome to Fortune and Strife. I am Robert, or Bayoshi Shinichi, and I'll be your host and narrator.
I am Jeanne, and I am playing Doji Gen.
I am Tyler, and I am playing Akoto Ricci. Let's play some L5R in the Burning Sands.
So the next morning after your first meeting with the Emir, you were all looking at sunrise, and you're brought out to enjoy your morning meal. And yeah, you all congregate together, and it is a say it's like a grainy porridge that you're eating this morning. It's not bad, but it's definitely different than what you're used to. You're missing your morning rice, but at the same time, it's creamy and warm and delicious. And you know what? Little saltiness and with uh, the farina in the morning, as they call it, is doing you well.
Is Hayate up?
Yeah, Hayate is with you. The four of you have a chance to all sit down and eat together and have a talk now. And as everyone else is busy doing things around you in camp, you have a chance, kind of as yourself, as no one is expecting the Rokugani, who are still mostly recovering in their eyes, to be put to work or anything like that. So you're kind of left to your own devices this morning. So you get a chance to settle in with each other and catch up and kind of see how things are doing.
It's good to see that you are well, Hayate, son. We didn't have a chance to tell you that before, but I'm grateful.
I appreciate that, Doji-sama. It's good to finally be up and around and having my wits about me again. Being in the waste like that, this desert is. I'm just not used to it. My skin is hot and red and burnt and peeling. I have sand everywhere, and I'm so used to the cool morning mists and the Kitsune Mori, and I miss the trees and the moisture in the air. I've sometimes complained about the humidity in summers, but I would gladly take it back just to have moisture on my lips again.
Well, hopefully we will find our way back, but I think we have a very long journey ahead of us.
But at least we are alive and able to do that journey. It's something to look forward to, and I will gladly embrace the first of the tall trees I see once I return back to my beloved forest.
Have you been able to figure out any of their tongue yet?
It's a mismatch to me. They're using sounds that I'm just not used to. I try to put my mouth to it, and it all comes out clunky and slurred, and it's people just look at me like I'm a congenial idiot. So no, nothing yet.
Uh, Richie-san?
I'm slowly trying to pick it up, but I haven't had too much conversation with someone else to really go in on it. So the sounds are at least roughly familiar. I've heard a couple of the words being said from various unicorn adversaries I've had to go against. But I have a feeling that they're not polite words to say in conversation.
I think that if we're going to get very far, that's going to learning their tongue is going to be the first thing that we're going to have to figure out how to do, right? It is wonderful that the Emir has taken care of us, but I do not know if he will deliver us all the way back to Rokugan, and if we are going to find our way ourselves, we will need to know the tongue one way or another to see what we can do if it's as far back as I think. So I was thinking for the rest of this journey back, maybe we could all, if you are ready, try to help out around the camp and use the opportunity to try and learn their tongue. And we can meet back each day. Does that... It seems more useful to me than just sitting in the dark.
That's true. Just from my brief experience around the camp, it looks like things are pretty well organized, which is really interesting to see in a caravan such as this. But they might still have need for a doctor or even perhaps a sparring partner.
Even if it's something as simple as, I don't know, do they cut wood here? No, there are no trees.
I haven't seen any trees around, yeah.
See what kind of tasks the soldiers at the camp might do and try and make ourselves useful on them. But otherwise, doing that sort of thing as an opportunity to learn their language seems like a good mission to me. Sueno-san?
Yes, and I've never been particularly great with words and letters, but I will do my best to at least be observant as I always have been, and try to pick up what I can just by keeping an eye over Yahoo and on this camp. It definitely reminds me of a bit of when the Mia came through with the Emperor's blessing. Seems like something along those lines. More than just a simple trade caravan. They're soldiers, and these are people with moneyed goods, and uh, but but not just the random wares of peddlers. If you'll look, it's not just random assortments of trade goods that they have.
Well, then, anyway, that's my suggestion until we get to wherever it is we're going.
It seems
Right.
like something that shouldn't be too hard to pass the time, at least.
Yeah. So just as a pause to the editor note here, as I discuss with players, do we want to go with your guys' describing a montage of different things that you're doing to try and pick up the languages?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And yeah, anything that's fine. I just thought it would be good to set a tone for what we're doing
Totally.
for the rest of the trip.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it.
And the goal is to, help out in the camp, make friends, or at least again is to make friends, because friends are always good.
Friends
and
are always good.
Learn language.
I have a quick question though. Does this camp and this merchant caravan, does it have kids?
This one, there might be a few children, but not many.
Okay. Then I would like as part of my montage, one of the scenes I'd like to describe is a kid who has been playing has fallen down and scraped his knee, and Ricci is helping him out there, and the kid is having a good enough time trying to be like try to describe his knee to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, kid, but I think I get your idea.
Okay, yeah, I like it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and have you guys I think describe, I think 3 quick activities, describe 2 foibles, and then 1 breakthrough, and then I'll have you guys make a check, and I think determining depending on the outcome of that check, I will ascribe you guys an advantage or disadvantage based on picking up the language here. How about that?
Okay. I guess it would be like a culture check.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some sort of culture check.
Okay.
Based on the scenes that you did, and then just TN on how you guys describe the things that you're doing, and then we'll see how it pans out, and then we'll see if we have someone who is gifted with tongues or those who are just tongue-tied, as it were. So let's.
All right. Well, I know which one of us is going to fall into each one of those.
Well, I'm gonna hope, though. I think that might be a role that perfect memory might help.
Yes, definitely. Perfect memory is definitely gonna help you. It's gonna be an advantage on that check for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet for a little bit, and I'm gonna let you guys go back and forth and talk about your kind of montage here of 3 little scenes. Probably 2 foibles and a breakthrough, or maybe like a foible, a half, and then a full breakthrough kind of situation. So go for it.
And we'll go back and forth between I tell one, Gan tells one, I tell one. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll jump in if need be to help with an NPC to respond to something or something like that. But for the most part, I think I'm gonna sit back and have you guys kind of describe scenes and things. So if you want to do scene dressing and talk about what you're wearing or what you're seeing around camp, feel free to chew the scenery. Let's have some fun. Let's let the players really kind of dictate some of these scenes and show do character showcase, as it were, here. I think so. Like I said, as GM, I'm going to take a little bit of stuff back and give you guys a lot more narrative control and scene dressing for this. How about that?
I've already got my 3. I'm good.
Cool. You're good. All right.
All right. I'm still brainstorming, but
you're still brainstorming. So we'll let
I'll go first.
We'll let Richie go first. All right. Editor's note. We're to scene.
So after the conversation, Richie decides that it's best to keep in a martial practice where he can. Because the past couple of days he hasn't been able to draw a sword or practice any of his katas. So Richie wanders on over to the more military part of the camp where all the mercenaries and guards are, sitting around doing their thing. They're handling their chores, they're sharpening blades, they're doing everything that you would expect that these guards would be doing. And Richie shows up in the same outfit as he was wearing with the meal with the Emir, and the guards kind of scoff at this outfit that he's wearing. It's not really a good martial outfit. It's more of a something for aesthetics and dress. But Richie does still have his katana on him, and spots a couple of the training swords, if you will. They're not made out of bamboo or wood, but it's made out of another strange material that Richie's just not familiar with. And as he's noticing those, a larger gentleman walks up and says some words to Richie. Richie obviously does not understand until the larger man picks up 2 of these swords and throws one at Richie. And upon Richie catching it, starts doing a practice duel. Duel, as I say, is just one-on-one sparring. And the sword feels really awkward in Richie's hand. He's only barely able to get some of these blows deflected and doesn't really get a good chance to swing back. But during this entire time, this guy is taunting him, or at least the sound that the guy is making is very taunting. But he's starting to slowly start picking up on some of these words that maybe not one to use at dinner, but more of one that if I wanted to get an inciting point across, I could do so.
All right. Well, I guess I will go on. So after we break up, the caravan is moving, and Gan is walking up and down the line of pack animals and these giant lumpy horse things that are very foul-tempered, that seem to be carrying a large amount of the burdens. And she's walking back and forth along the lines and trying to ask questions of the people who are leading these giant, lumpy horse things. What is this? They say camel. And she tries to reproduce the sound and otherwise asking as best she can. But the camels are starting to get rather annoyed with her presence, and they're shooing her off a little bit. So she falls back, and she notices that on one of the camels, a strap holding some of the packaging on it seems to have gotten worn or cut in some way. And so, thinking she's being very helpful, she goes up to the person leading the caravan, and she's trying desperately to communicate that the strap is worn, and this particular camel driver is rather bad-tempered and keeps trying to shoo her away. And she keeps pointing at the strap and keeps shooing her away. And eventually she, leads the camel driver back to the strap and points at it. And just as the whole thing is starting to come apart, and it slides, and she's not really succeeded. But in their attempt to figure out what happened and what all was wrong with the strap, they do actually manage to explain to her sort of kind of what these creatures are and what a strap is, and how that is supposed to work. But mostly they're doing it while actually scolding her, because they don't quite think it's her fault, but she should have told them sooner, but she couldn't.
When the caravan breaks a few days later for the evening, Ricci goes up to one of the chefs and starts talking, at least communicating as best as he can, with the chef about what kind of ingredients are going in. So, starting to learn words like olive and spices and hot. And so Ricci goes back and forth between a couple of the different chefs to learn a lot of the more various methods and techniques they're using to cook some of this food, and is a little shocked to learn that there is some actual meat in some of these meals, and is not exactly unhappy, but also a little put off by some of this food. But there's just a overall conversation, because when you love food, you'll make a way to talk about it.
So at sunset, they've been traveling for a couple of days, and Jeanne is still, always, as always, pulling out her book in the evening and looking at the desert flora and fauna being out there and drawing pictures of it. But she has a problem, because every time she encounters a bug, a curly-tailed scorpion, a spider, anything else, she sees a hole for it, a beetle, someone or other sees her and drags her away from it and says no. And or what she has come to learn is no, or danger. And she is slowly realizing that pretty much everything in this desert is probably venomous or poisonous, or just wants to kill her on bad attitude, and that includes the camels. So she is uh, getting very well aware of what the words for danger are, mostly because she seems to have an uncanny knack for stumbling towards it and needing to be pulled away by caravan guards who think she is rather foolish for it. But she does have lots of questions afterwards to figure out what all of these various dangers of the desert are, even if she has rather bad luck in almost encountering them again.
And towards the end of the journey, Ricci is traveling along the caravan just as per normal, and a smaller child is running around playing and just having fun, but trips and scrapes up their knee. Ricci, just being right there, runs over and just tears off a part of his outfit to start covering up the wound in the knee, and just trying to be nice about it and all. The kid, had cried a little bit at first, but calmed down when he sees this stranger coming up to him and at least trying to take care of this problem as fast as possible. But Ricci's just pointing at it and being like, knee, and the kid doesn't really understand what's going on. Ricci says knee again, and still not anything. And then Ricci points to his own knee and says knee, points to the kid's knee and says knee, and then kind of like motions, and the kid says the word knee in his language. And so Ricci starts repeating it that way. And through a process of a bit of childish glee, both participants in this conversation start pointing to different parts of the body and stating different things. So Ricci now knows like head, shoulders, knees, toes. It just goes through and learns the very, very basic words for anatomy of between this kid and a full grown samurai.
Right. And right at the one of the nights towards the end, after a little while, Doji Gen has managed to become friends by bringing them their tea in the evening and otherwise being friendly with some of the guards on the Emir's tent, not to necessarily have audiences with the Emir, but what she has done over the course of their walking is she spends time just watching the Emir and watching how the soldiers and other people go up to him and how they react to him. And she takes that time, she's watching it closely. And so one evening, she figures out, well, they reach a small encampment. It's not part of their army. It's just a small, like, little village encampment that they pass as they're nearing their destination. And some riders from outside the camp come and greet the Emir to talk. And she can't understand what they're saying, but she watches how they greet him. And so for the next time that she goes to meet him, instead of greeting him the way she had before, she copies the greeting that this these visitors used in style, and manages to pull off a suitable greeting, which is humorous enough that the Emir does manage to smile at her and see that she has got that much maybe correct.
That she's picked up etiquette, if not the language itself. I like that. All right, so you guys really played into advantages, drives, and interests of your characters really well. I really dug that. So, yeah, let's go ahead and make a culture check here. I would normally say it is a 4, but I think the way you guys played up different advantages, disadvantages, and all that stuff, we're going to go ahead and knock it down 2. So this will be a TN2 culture check, and we'll see what you guys might wind up with afterwards for an advantage or disadvantage, depending whether you have success or shortfall.
Alrighty. Well, with this one, I'll go ahead and roll my 1 culture with my Earth Ring, because I feel this is more of a scholarly pursuit that Richi's taking. So Earth stance, or not stance, sorry.
Mhm.
Let me redo that part. So I'll go ahead and take my 1 culture, and I will roll my Earth Ring with it, because it seems like more of a scholarly thing to do. So we'll go ahead and go with the Earth 3 Scholar 1. Or not Scholar,
Yeah,
Culture 1.
yeah. Playing head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeah, it's a bit playful, but it's also rote memorization. I think goes well with that. Yeah.
All right. And I am going to be doing a lot of careful observing of all of the subtle behaviors of people are doing, the intonations, and analyzing it that way. I'm relying on my memory, but I'm trying to get more than just memory, but be able to carry off body language, intent. So I'm thinking an air approach might be the best. Analyzing.
I think that's for analysis. I think that's a great way to go with it. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going air culture with mine.
All right.
All right. So for my roll, I got a decent amount of exploding successes, but I only kept 2. So I have 2 successes, 1 opportunity, and 3 strife.
Oof, 3 strife. That is pretty rough.
3 strife's a little rough, but considering we've kind of leveled out on strife, I'm okay taking all 3. But for the opportunity,
How do you think the strife manifests? I'm curious in this regard over the course of your.
Well, actually, it works out pretty well. I'm going to attribute it 1 per scene that came up. 1 strife came from, not really doing that well against the training duel against the mercenary. 1 strife just because, oh God, I'm eating meat, red meat specifically.
I like it.
And another strife as in, I've got to rely on this kid to actually learn this language. But you know what?
Or it could be a positive one. It could be positive emotions. It could be the giddiness of being playful with the kid, right? I mean,
actually,
remember, strife is not negative. Yeah,
I like that better. I've made a friend. Kind of deal.
It means you're a little distracted, but you're giddy and you're having fun. But it still causes you to be a bit emotionally, elevated. Shall we say? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I like that. And so for the opportunity, what I'd like to add on a little bit to this is that I picked up a little bit more of the language, but specifically more on the anatomy side, because medic training is what I've got, and so I kind of pick up on that a little bit more so than the other parts. I still pick up on a little bit of the taunting, a little bit of the food stuff, but when it comes to pointing out like this is the head, this is a hand, I get a little bit more of that.
Okay. With that success, I think that we can go ahead and give you how should we say call this advantage, this distinction? How about like Kamarist anatomy?
Yeah,
And you can communicate. I think the narrative thing will be like you can communicate different parts of the body and um, things like parts of it and things like that that involve anatomy and physiology between the two cultures, and it will allow you to reroll 2 dice when trying to deal with bodily issues with usually medicine checks and or fitness checks.
works for me.
All right, sounds good. Why don't you go ahead and write up that new distinction for yourself? All right, and again, how did you do?
I got 3 successes, 2 opportunities, and 1 strife
Not bad.
with,
So yeah,
with my
maybe
roll.
yeah, like you said, the strife could definitely be from the. They didn't necessarily blame you for the things that went bad, but they really wish you got to them sooner, even though you were desperately trying to. And it's a little exasperation. I think could really describe that one strife for sure.
Yeah, she's mostly strife because it's like everything here wants to kill me.
That
Everything
too,
here
right?
wants to
Yeah.
kill me. Yeah.
It's almost like being in Australia. Yeah, no.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wherever that's at. All right. Well,
It's like
3
I don't want
successes
to be lost in the desert.
is more than you
But that,
needed. Yeah.
yeah. I would like to use the opportunity. I'd like to use 1 opportunity if possible, and this may be both depending on what you think it's worth,
Hmm.
to have learned some more about Kamarist culture, um, in particular.
Okay.
So watching the body language, like I said, I've been watching the relationships between people, like who bows to who, or do they bow, or who defers to who is probably better. All that subtle stuff, that's why I was
Yeah.
kind of doing air, because I'm trying to see these subtle relationships, like who do I not piss off? How do I know that's the kind of person not to piss off? Who's higher in status than who, and if they are higher in status than me, how do I behave around them? I'm trying to get that
Yeah.
subtle body language stuff
I think
as
that's a
well
good
as
one to
just the
go for.
language.
So, I'm thinking that that is at least 1, possibly 2, because we can now frame your advantage, possibly, depending on how broad you want to make it with or things spent on it. Do you think you want it to be something like uh, Kamarist interpersonal relationships or Kamarist uh, uh, mores and norms? Sorry,
Maybe
mores and
just
norms? Yeah.
Kamarist courtesy.
There you go. I like that.
Kamarist courtesy,
Hmm.
since courtesy is skill anyway, and I think that it's worth 2 given this situation.
I think so. I think learning their courtesies, their etiquettes, and how to behave with them. So let's go ahead and say um, the narrative aspect of it is that you have picked up the subtle intricacies of how you behave in Kamarist regions, and therefore uh, automatically know the modes of address and behaviors of how to be courteous to others, and you don't have to make tests uh, to do the kind of basic stuff. And then, of course, there will be reroll 2 dice when making air courtesy or air culture checks to pick up new and interesting ideas in Quamarist area.
All right,
Or something along those
that sounds
lines.
great.
But yeah, but effectively, yeah, you will automatically know how to interact with people from here on out,
The
which is
basics.
the basics. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the basics of how to greet people, how to say hello, how to say goodbye, how to ask things. All that stuff is second nature to you now. Um, and again, when trying to decipher more intricate or detailed or secretive things, the unwritten rules, you can go ahead and get the extra 2 dice to figure those things.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Yeah, those will be fun little distinctions that'll come up in play here for sure, and might even have some payoff in Rokugan if you just start dealing with the unicorn or other folks there. Right on. And then yeah, we'll feel free to be able to also point at those advantages as hey, picked up a bit of the language. I will say you're not perfectly fluent yet, but you should be able to talk with some people at least on a basic level from here on out for your kind of basic needs, food, water, shelter, different things like that, and maybe things will get a bit more. Things that are complicated, I might have you still make a check for, but for the most part, we'll say basic communications can be handled, whether it still takes a little bit of time or not, and juggling of the language. It should work out though. All right. So, as a pause to the editor, this is bringing us to just about 40 minutes or so, but I think we have about 35 minutes or so of usable in the can. Do we want to go a little bit longer and talk with the Emir before he sends you guys off to finish the rest of the journey to the city while he maintains his own travels, or do you guys want to take a break and start with that and then make your way to Elzawara in the next recording?
I think we want to. I think we should meet with the Emir now.
Before we finish, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
leaning that way
especially
too.
considering I used that kind of as my wrap up part.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you guys were good to go for could be another 20-25 minutes. So just wanted to make sure everyone was good to go for that. So all right, let's go ahead and do it. Let me get a drink here and we'll get to it. So after several days, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I did have one question before we go on. In terms of one of those scenes was me with my book and studying bugs for whatever it was worth. Can I drop down some Strife?
You certainly may.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Ricci, you did do gourmet. That can also reduce 3 Strife for you if you'd like.
I'm going to keep it only because I got the Strife as part of like actually talking about food.
Mhm.
So I would say that I was talking about food and then I got the Strife just to keep things fair.
That sounds fair. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. So after several days of travel and interaction with the caravan here and these people who you've now learned Komarists, the Komari as they refer to themselves, where you can kind of teach them Rokugani and things like that along those lines. And a couple cultural things have been exchanged. Words have started to be translated over. Loan words are going to be carried over by people with some new slang. And who knows, you might even drop a few words that'll confuse your friends and family when you get back to Rokugan. But yeah, you've picked up a few things here and there, and they're going pretty well. When the Emir, who is usually pretty busy throughout the day, does ask for the 4 of you to come to his tent after several days of journey, and his usual attendant comes by and brings you over to them. You've come to know that this man is known as Fuad. And while it's a little bit of a complicated word for you to get out, you've come to at least a good way of saying it with your own accent, where he's stopped chuckling every time you his name out. But yes, Fuad comes by and lets you know the Emir would like to speak with you once more. And you all gather in the largest tent in the camp. And the Emir is like, my friends, I'm so glad that you have made this journey as easy as you can on yourselves. You've definitely come to meet my people and tried to understand them, and we've all had both a good laugh and some understanding between each other, and I'm glad to hear that. If you don't mind, I have a few questions of my own of Rokugan, and it could help further improve these relations between our 2 respective empires.
Oh, of course. Your camp has been very generous, though I do not know what kind of questions we would be able to answer that you would be interested in, but please.
Well, yeah, no, it mostly revolves around how much do you know of the Comaris and our ways, our religion, and Rokugan? Do Corn speak of us much?
Not at all.
Not at all. Interesting. We have quite a bit of dealings, both positive and negative, at the unicorn over the years, especially the Ujik tribe of the Modo and the clan of Shinjo. Um, well, if they don't speak of us, well, what do they speak of when they speak of their travels outside of Rokugan?
Unfortunately, my interactions with the unicorn are more violent. My clan is very much on edge with the unicorn. It has not yet escalated into war, but just a one wrong misstep could bring it that way. But I don't have a lot of social interaction with the Shinjo or the Ide, or of anybody else of the unicorn for that matter.
That is something that we have also learned over the years. Have spoken of peace and just of travels. They've also been ones who are ready to commit violence when the need arises. Sometimes uh, rather abruptly and quickly and decisively at times. Their mastery of the terrain and of the cavalry far outweighs almost any other state that they've come across.
The unicorn are mighty warriors, and but they also have a generous and welcoming spirit, especially in interactions with my clan, though their ways are considered still strange to our culture, and they are slow to assimilate fully and leave the desert behind them, but they still touch the desert, so perhaps that is part of the reason why they hold themselves off to a degree.
The same can be said out here. While the Shinjo have set down roots here and there with different communities, they've also been just known to uh, get up and leave. They seem to have trouble, as you say, assimilating to whatever culture they've come across. I guess including their own home culture. What are some of the strangest things that people say about the unicorn, or that the unicorn practice back in your own lands? I wonder if it's some of the same they're known for out here.
I glance at Ricci. Well, their cooking style is considered quite
Unusual.
different, unusual.
The Emir laughs at that, and that is funny that you should say so. Out here, they are known for eating plainly and not enjoying the finer spices or flavors that others do. But I could see it on your faces that it is clearly in Rokugan they are the adventurous ones, while they are almost thought of as timid eaters and consider some ways in our lands.
Forgive me for saying so, but indeed, in the Empire, when when one has been blessed by the fortunes with fresh food granted from the sea and from the land, there is less need to cover cover the flavors up with dried powders of different types. The taste is good enough, but I do know that in other clans where such fresh food is harder to get, the need for more exotic spices becomes more necessary.
I suppose that's true. When we have to do so much preparation out here that sometimes you have to overdo some of the salt or other preservation methods with new and better flavors than are presented just with the preservation techniques. That is fair. That is fair.
That and I tend to notice that back in the Empire we more lean on the sweeter flavors of food, whereas so far I have tasted more of the bitter and savory sides here.
Yeah, no, that is a fair one. Well, when we get back to the jewel of the desert, to Elzawara, I shall have to introduce you to a few dishes that are sweetened with honey and pistachio nuts. You will fall in love with it. It is one of the most decadent things, almost to the point that those who are truly devout try to only partake of it on special holidays and festivals. But the rest of the year they try to abstain. Otherwise, they feel they might become gluttonous and overly round.
Well, I shall look forward to it.
What of any cultural practices, religious observances? How do the unicorn maintain their connections with their homeland in that way?
I'm not much on the side of their religious methods. I assume they follow the kami and the fortunes the same as any other Rokugani. I have heard of the Moto death clans or something of the sort. I'm not entirely certain. It's always one of those things where the Moto are yelling about something or another when they're charging into battle. I I don't follow it all that much.
Hmm. We have heard of these death gods of the Moto. They definitely seem to fill their own. And he uses an odd word. It's not quite. It's definitely not to something along the lines of Shugenja or spiritualist that you might speak of there. It's almost more of akin to, say, a Sukai, when he says something along the lines of that you picked up, sorcerer, that their sorcerers are one to get their people riled up with this idea of their death gods. It's definitely more of an unsettling term that, like I said, it comes across more like I said, a Tsukai than a Shugenja when he says it.
If such a thing is practiced, it is practiced in the most tribal of the people, not in the fashion of the Ide who present themselves in the courts of other clans. It
The
sounds
Ide we know
very
of, they definitely present themselves as the friendly open hand of the unicorn. But it is
but
and he kind of pauses there a bit for a little emphasis. It is the Ayuchi that I am most interested. And you kind of see Hayate kind of clench his fists a little bit at this, kind of for whatever reason he is having a kind of a bit of a defensive reaction to what the Emir is saying.
Yaiuchi. Um, I'm gonna roll on this,
Sure thing.
and I'm going to roll a theology check, but and it'll be an earth theology check.
Yeah, I
That's all
think
right.
so. Well, I guess what information are you trying to recall? If you're
I am
do it?
trying to see. I'm just saying what I might know about unicorn religious practices. What
Okay,
Gen might
sure
know.
thing.
It's not
Absolutely.
it's a topic she does not focus on. She opposite.
Absolutely
focuses
right.
on.
You go ahead and say that your, how shall we say, religious skepticism is going to come in as a disadvantage here, so you'll have to re-roll 2 dice.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's going to be a TN2 Earth theology check to kind of remember IUG religious practice.
Okay, I'm going to roll just straight up Earth then. I have 0 theology. And I've got to re-roll
both those 2 exploding successes. Yep. Not bad. All right.
So, I'll see what the last what it rolls.
Might as well have a peek, see what it is.
All right.
And
just give me just give me a sec. Okay, I got 2 exploding successes with 2 successes with Strife and 1 opportunity. So I'm just checking a moment to see what I got on my opportunity.
Of course, go right ahead.
However, I am going to spend the opportunity to speak carefully to minimize the consequences of dangers that might arise from this. Because it's like, I don't necessarily know. He's fishing hard now.
He is.
She can figure out enough. He's fishing hard. He didn't stop with food. And he's not asking about Rokugani religious practice. He's asking about unicorn. And so this is getting weird. And I don't want to put anything in danger by this. So I'm using my opportunity to minimize danger regarding what I am going to.
What you might say. Absolutely.
What I might say.
So with that success, though, I will say that, the Iuchi do have their own unique practices. It is what they call Meishido, which you know to be kind of refers to effectively name magic, and that they are able to, as they say, house kami within objects so they can carry different invocations for them, ready to release at a moment's notice. However, the part that you're going to be careful about how you may or may not say it is that this could possibly be considered blasphemy in some circles. Most notably, the Phoenix have recently started to petition the courts to determine whether or not that this is a heretical act or not. Are they binding and forcing the kami into these objects against their will? These objects are clearly not shentai, which are religious housings for kami that are used in shrines and temples, but that these are everyday objects that the Iuchi use, and not always connected with the elements that they are attracted to, and that they are bound in this state of excited invocation wise without it being able to be released, and until the Iuchi decides to. And it is a touchy subject. So, but you have caught that, and you, before you spill anything to that effect, you make sure to carefully choose your words going forward.
Okay. So she says, well, each clan of Rokugan calls upon the spirit of the kami in slightly different ways. From the lion who call upon their ancestors to guide them, to the dragon who managed to gather the elements and stick them in bottles in some mysterious way. So the Iuchi have their own magics, just like the crab have their own magics that involve fighting the dark shadows. But neither Richi-san nor I are scholars of more than the marginal knowing that such magics exists. We are not scholars of magic for that. You would need to speak to a Shiginja, I'm afraid.
Hmm. Well, that is fair. I cannot ask one to speak on the ways of a sorcerer when you are not a sorcerer yourself. But
What do
your
you
word,
mean by this term sorcerer?
I've
sorcerer.
Find
never
it.
heard it myself.
Yeah, he pauses and he says, one that abuses spirits and others, that, as you say, calls upon them, calls upon Jeanne and binds them with names, something that is worryingly similar to rumors we have heard of the practices of the Ayuchi and the Unicorn, that they may have picked up more than they should have when they came through our territory. Years ago, the nameless prophet came and helped free us from Rinpet sorcery and slavery when they broke the shackles of name magic and control, and that these sorcerer kings and queens could no longer control us. And with that, Hayate kind of not quite leaps to his feet, but to like, and Ricci would notice this, to like a warrior's crouch with a Aiijitsu pose, and just shouts out, "That is not the ways of a Shugenja. That is not what our families do. We call upon the spirits. We ask for their aid. We beseech them. But Haloon, they are not." And when he says Haloon instead of Haroon, one of the guards in the room, not Fuad, but another one, like leaps with just preternatural speed. And this is a large man. He takes the curved dagger from his sash and has it at the throat of Hayate, and is just yelling at him something in Kamarish. And you've only been able to pick up a few things here or there, but you're able to pick up something along the lines of um, you know, silence your tongue, unbeliever, or I will cut it from your mouth. And the Emir has to calm things down quickly. Abdul, stay your hand. He did not mean any insult by it, and they are just having they don't have the same sounds that we do. I understand. And he kind of calms his man down, and Hayate and this other man are kind of in a stare off. Ricci could see that Hayate has like his wakizashi half drawn, ready to slice the man's belly if he tries to go any further with this knife. But the Emir tries his best to calm everything down. They did not mean an insult by it. You have to understand that here in the Kamaris tradition, names have power and they are to be respected. And this man is, well, he is devoted to me, and he feels that any mispronunciation could be considered an act of slander against me. And I am trying to assure him that no insult was meant, at least in that regard.
Hayate-san, please apologize. Back down.
Apologize for what? For this man's
For mispronouncing the name of a lord. Not your lord, but you would not do so to another clan's champion, would you? You would not speak so.
And yeah, with your paragon of courtesy advantage, that ring true to him and remind him of his devotion to Bushido and of what he should be doing. And with that, his hand releases off his blade. The wakizashi starts to slide back into its saya, and he bows his head, not his back so much, but his head. Forgive me for mispronouncing your name. And he uses daimyo for this for to the emir instead of his title emir. Um, but I will say that you may be misinformed on the ways of a shugenja, and I will leave it at that. And he kind of starts to settle back, and Abdul releases him and takes his dagger and uh, kind of slides it back in with a bit of an intimidating stare down, but finally returns to his position as a bodyguard to the emir. And the emir is like, I am sorry that this has gotten out of hand. I did have questions about Rokugan and was truly interested in your cultures. There have just been some worrying rumors that we have heard, and I was hoping to get uh, something to ease my mind as it were to what we know of the unicorn and whether they are practicing sorcery or not. I understand that the magics of both empires can be perceived differently from one to the next, but I'm sorry if I have given insult to you. I should have been more open about what I was asking.
Hayate-san is uh, his clan are a people who deeply revere the spirits of the forest, and he therefore is protecting his clan's uh, relationship with the spirits of earth and nature. Um, as I understand it, uh, much of the we all venerate the kami in one way or another.
Hayate says, "Hi, especially Lady Shinjo," reminding you that the Fox clan originated as the original followers of the Kirin who stayed behind in Roku when the rest of the clan
Mhm.
left on their adventures.
That is true. His people followed Lady Shinjo before she left, as you said, to meet and free this Ren pet kingdom.
Well, uh, that is true. We have heard tales that the unicorn did do battle with them as well, and in that we consider them uh, marginal allies. That they have understood that the slavery and mistreatment that the Renpet had put upon the people of this region for centuries before the nameless prophet came and freed them all was wrong to everyone, even outside. Just remember, though, that names have power here, and they are to be protected and respected, and not to be taken lightly. As a name can control others, and it is meaningful here.
Do you not? You introduced yourself to us, and we introduced ourselves to you. Is that were we not supposed to use our
Oh
names
no, you you
in
you
such
may
a
you
way?
may you may use your names, you may say your names, but and have them proudly, for you bear them as free individuals, no longer possessed by those who wish to subjugate you. You should be proud of your names, and that pride is unfortunately caused our confrontation here today. That
Uh,
Abdul's pride in my name and his serving of me is something that he takes perhaps overly seriously, and that he is not used to those who are not familiar with how to properly pronounce it. That if one is to slur one's name, it can be considered again slander against that person. To at least mock them, if not to denigrate the name that they bear proudly.
uh, well, there. That makes sense. I understand that. But if someone said asked to give a name, you would not do that,
To give up a name to a sorcerer, never. That
or
would
some
be
such.
Yes, that would be tantamount to giving over your entire life and to control of this person.
Uh,
Uh, we uh, we would never, and so any magics that involve the binding of names, servitude, uh, that is considered to be one of the greatest blasphemes to our ways and to the teachings of the nameless prophet.
are there many? I do not mean insult. There have been times in the history of Rokugan where evil men and women have done wicked things to harm the Empire. The Crab Clan, in particular, fights against the Shadowlands, a place of evil, though others sometimes use the power of that place and other evil magics to exert their will, though the Empire, as I understand it, destroys those who would dare do so, bring harm to others. But is this a common problem, a rare problem? How large is this problem within your lands of evil sorcerers?
You see him. Sorry, you hear Abdul mutter a bit of a curse beneath his breath. Something about the wicked tiger woman. Uh, but the emir raises his hand to kind of silence Abdul again, and says the problem is less severe than it has been in the past. That was mostly a problem with the previous Renpet Empire, but we have known those who, over the years, have still practiced the uh, sorcery of controlling those through blood. For those who bind and he uses a term that you're not overly familiar with, that you think he means by spirit when he says Jeanne, the binding of Jeanne to objects to trap them within, uh, household objects, from a pendant to a ring to even, and he points off to one of the oil lamps burning on the side of the tent, to even trapping a Jinn within a lamp. They can then take this power with them and unleash it at will. These sorcerers are conniving and deadly. They have a multitude of uh, bound spirits or demons or Jinn ready to unleash upon those who would wish to gain their freedom, or the freedom of others, or even the freedom of these spirits that do not deserve this treatment.
So this is binding a spirit that is from outside into an object, not wakening the spirit within an object.
Yeah, he kind of looks at your term of Nemerani, slumbering one, and thinks for a while and tries to put it together. And he thinks, no, the oil lamp is but an oil lamp. But when you can bind a spirit into it, a Jinn, perhaps an Ifrit, and now this lamp can produce a great gout of flame from the Ifrit's very nature. But one could also have bound it into, say, even into a water glass. It may heat and boil as a teacup does, because of the new nature of it with the Ifrit bound within it. But it is still a fiery beast, even if it is connected to simply a glass for water or tea or chai.
Interesting. I am no scholar of theology, though. Painter,
Yeah, and
yes.
he's
Yeah,
throwing
this
out
is
terms that
unusual to
are-
me.
Yeah, right. You're like a Ifrit, Jinn. Oh man, this sorts of new and
I don't even know this stuff in
terms.
Rokugan.
Right. let alone another religious hang-ups and whatnot. Yeah. Uh, and he says, while the rampant slavery of sorcerers and sorcerer kings and queens are long past, they still work in secret and silence. They still enslave sometimes villages or even just household servants to become not just those who work for you in your employ, but become literal slaves to you in mind, body, and soul. It is. It is something that we are continuing to try and stamp out, but it is no longer a common problem.
As an aside, do do we know enough Shadowlands stuff? I don't know what's common knowledge in the Empire to know about
Sure.
Maho Tsukai, or is that buried? That not anything other than Maho and blood. Yeah, we
Sure.
don't know anything.
We might know a little bit because we traveled around with someone who hunted down Mahosakai.
Again, says there, as it said, this sounds very much like Maho Tsukai. And she says the term, blood mages, from our empire, who are evil,
Mhm.
because sorcerers, evil that do this. But any loyal samurai would kill Maho Tsukai, who they encountered, who was
Well, I'm glad to
doing
hear
this.
that Rokugan also understands with the inherent evilness of a sorcerer and those who truck in blood magic, and hopefully are coming to understand the horrors of those who bind names as well. Again, I'm sorry that this meeting came to such a contentious end, and Hayate, I apologize on behalf of for the threat and for not speaking more plainly about what I was after. If you feel I had manipulated you in any way, I apologize. It is a difficult subject to bring up. This thing of is are your neighbors practicing the that which they shouldn't? Um, I will do my best to let you know what I'm seeking for in the future. But I do hope that we can speak again of our respective empires and cultures without it having to come to blows again. And Hayate kind of just bows his head. And again, in Rokugan would be considered probably a disrespectful bow, but the Emir takes it as a conciliatory motion. Well then, let's call it there for tonight. I will have to be leaving onto other business in my lands, but I will make sure that that Fuad will take you on to the city and make sure that you have been set up with lodgings, and that you can be introduced to the court there of the Sultan as soon as possible. But I will return in just a few weeks' time. But I have business that I need to attend to. So again, I apologize, and I hope that our next meeting is a bit more fortuitous and perhaps more enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You, as we have said before, have our great gratitude.
Indeed. Thank you so very much.
And with that, Fuad will take you back and guide you to your tents. I'm Robert, or Bayoshi Shinichi, your host and narrator, thanking you once again for listening. Remember to catch new episodes every Monday. If you want to catch them early or are looking for more bonus content, please consider becoming a supporting member of the Patreon at patreon.com/courtgames.
I am Tyler, and I've been playing Akoto Ricci. You can find me on my personal accounts on Twitter at ChurcherGames or on Twitch, also as ChurcherGames. You can find the show on the web at courtgamespod.com, on social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram under Fortune and Strife, and on Twitter at L5RFNS. If you would like to contact us, you can email the show at fortuneandstrife@gmail.com.
This is Jeanne, aka Kakita Kaori, and also known as, at least today, Doji Gen. You can find me at my blog at the Winter Garden of the Kakita website, along with helpful materials for the RPG, and also on Twitter at White Veils or on Facebook. If you like, I am also found on the CourtGames RPG podcast as a writer for Emerald Legacy, or check out The Table Is Yours for fiction readings of the FFG stories.
This has been Fortune and Strife, a Court Games production in association with D20 Radio Network and the Rokugani Historical Society.
Correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.